Paul, what do you do when you see caution yellow tape?
I walk through it and then use it to choke somebody.
Because that's pretty much what I did. I was not aware. My wife and I, we were walking down the beach, and we're like, man, there's really nobody around us. And then we're like, what are all these boxes here? And it turns out they were fireworks.
Oh,
And as you can
jeez.
see how close I am to them, we weren't supposed to be there, but I figured, you know what? Let's just take a picture.
It looks like the opening scene from the TV show Lost when the plane crashed on the beach and all that stuff was strewn all over the place. You're like,
Yep.
what if I walked into like a crime scene? What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, we're like, why is there nobody here? And there was tape, and we just walked around it, and we just walked into the water like 6 inches and walked around. I mean, very secure barricades here.
Hmm.
And then about, I don't know, 90 minutes after this took place, actually not even that, probably about an hour, they went up in the air and went kaboom, and we had a nice little fireworks display on the beach.
Wow, it was guarded really well.
Yeah, I mean, only I think 3 people lost a finger. So
So, anything going on today?
no,
Some Google Home news.
yeah, maybe some Chrome updates. I
Mhm.
think I was just gonna take the day off and
All right, good talking to you.
yep, catch you later.
Oh,
Um,
wait.
so, folks, if you haven't checked out Thurrott, I fully recommend you do because I got some good information. I don't want to say sent to me, but I was able to observe some information to be politically correct. A bunch of updates here, and I'm just going to rapid fire through them. So the next gen Xbox is coming in 2020. The Surface Pro 6 is named Caramel, not Caramel, but Caramel. And the Surface tablet that Bloomberg scooped earlier this month, I think it was this month or last month, I believe is called Libra. And the HoloLens V Next is codenamed Sydney, and it's still on track for a Q1 2019 release.
Yeesh.
Few
Yeesh.
things, few things in there.
Yeah, a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. The biggest thing that I'm happy about all this, I mean, first off, the Xbox 2020 stuff, people are freaking out about that. They're like, it's so close to the X, but I think we're just in a whole new world. We had rapid release OS, now we have rapid release console hardware. Not quite the same thing, but this is what that'll be at least 3 years.
No, it's
after the
exactly
X. Yeah,
exactly the right cadence. So the original console came out in 2014, right?
yeah,
2013,
yeah,
2014.
right around there.
There was an S release in 2015 or 15, probably 16. I don't even
Something
remember.
like
It's
that.
weird. I
Yep.
can't remember this. Last year they released the X, obviously. So
Yep.
let's backtrack from there. So 2014 minus 3 years is 2014. 3 years plus that 2020. I mean, the X is sitting right in the middle. This makes sense. It's
Mhm.
it's not 100% clear what that next Xbox will be, right? And even to Microsoft, actually. But it makes sense in the scheme of things. The one thing I think we can all rely on is regardless of what the architecture is or what the specs are or whatever it is, it will be backward compatible. And I think that's the cool thing that Microsoft's been doing. And so whether they brand it as an Xbox One or as an entirely different thing, I don't really think matters. In fact, maybe this is their opportunity to go back to that name we were sort of thinking for the new console back when it was new, which was just Xbox. you
Yep.
know, like it's just Xbox. This is the box for Xbox, and then they'll have the streaming service,
Mhm.
for everybody else.
And the one thing that I think builds on this and gives me a lot of hope that the backwards compatibility is going to be built in is Microsoft's gotten very, very good at doing backwards compatible for the Xbox 360. Now, granted, that's a little bit easier because it's older hardware and they can throw it in a VM or whatever. They've got that process down.
Yeah.
And so my gut tells me that they're going to figure this out pretty quickly for how to do the Xbox One. They will run it through the same process, and all
Yeah.
you'll do is, well, it might even be easier. Then you may not even have to put a game in. It'll be like, oh, look, Brad bought Halo 5 on the Xbox One. Here it is on his new console. Just
For whatever it's worth, honestly, making an emulator, a VM or whatever it is, like you said, that runs Xbox 360 games in the Xbox One is a fairly significant computer science
Yeah.
achievement. Remember, these are completely different processor architectures. The Xbox 360 was PowerPC based, multi-cores, had a special GPU, et cetera, et cetera. To provide not just to run those games and apps, but to run them consistently, like that they work properly always on the Xbox One, I think is super impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
so like you said though, like now that work is done, That's the hard part. I mean,
Right.
I would assume they kind of stick with a basic x86 style architecture since that's where the performance is, it's where the price savings are going to be had. It's
Yep.
100% compatibility with what they have today.
I know I said this last gen, but it realistically wouldn't surprise me to see them just go with not necessarily off-the-shelf components, but very close. Because remember, they want to do this game streaming service, and it's going to be to their advantage to have similar-ish hardware in their console as opposed to everything else in the world.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So
yes.
because I don't think it's going to be Xbox as a PWA, Paul. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I guess the one thing I would throw out is this notion of remote, a remote screen experience, right? Like you can today, they don't call it this, but you could basically cast an Xbox game to a Windows 10 screen to a different Windows 10 screen. I mean, that if it's that kind of a thing, if you're literally just streaming a game and the client is taken out of the equation, just remoting the experience could technically be done on any device, including a mobile device that was based on, a Qualcomm architecture or whatever, or even to the web.
I'm going to show you something here that's beautiful, Paul. Let me see if I can get my phone to rotate here. I got to show it as a screenshot on my phone, but you'll see why in a second. Just is that showing up there?
That's yep.
It wants me to up. Yep. My computer's trying to update because why wouldn't it do that in the middle of a podcast? It's I believe it's not even 1803. I think it's just a standard Windows update because this should have.
I think the thing we can all look forward to from a Microsoft game streaming service is having it remotely update itself, and we can see it on our screens.
It's a very scary future. A couple other things here. So we got the Surface Pro 6. We know that is coming. Microsoft in the documentation very much said that, hey, this is a staple of the Surface brand. We know the Pro 6 is coming. Unfortunately, we don't have a date yet. Yep. There's no way I think they're going to deviate from the path they're on. It's just going to be a modest update, just whatever spec refresh, maybe slightly better screen in some capacity. But I can't see them reinventing the wheel here at this point. 6 iterations in.
No, I mean maybe they'll surprise us. I mean I think the thing we're all looking forward to is the same thing, which is modern generation processors with the quad core performance gain. And some movement toward USB-C and Thunderbolt 3. So I mean, I don't mean to say like I'm going to give up on these guys forever if they don't do this. I mean, I love Surface devices, but I would be shocked if all of their new devices didn't go down that path.
Well, speaking of new devices that didn't get announced, so the Elite Controller V2, the prototypes, I believe, charged via Type-C.
Yeah, even Apple is rumored to be going to Type-C for not the iPhones that are coming out this year, but next year's iPhones.
That'll be perfect because I'm going to buy one this year, and then I'll be completely screwed.
I like the smaller cable that Apple has. To be honest, the Lightning cable. I think it's fine. They did certainly pioneer the works either way approach. But I guess the advantage of USB-C is that it allows for faster charging, and so it's one of those things they can provide in the box now, so
not to mention, I wonder if all the new stuff is going to have wireless charging as well.
Yeah, I would think so. The new ones do, right? Yeah,
the X does. Yeah, does the 8?
Yeah, it does.
Does it? Oh, that's right. There we go. Makes it even easier.
Yeah, all glass.
The funny thing about the iPhone X, Paul. So this is going back to beach time. So we were walking down the steps towards the pool in the beach area, and my wife just casually goes, she's like, "Yeah, if you want to go get that new iPhone, I'll just take your old one." I'm just, she drops this on vacation. So we go to Best Buy.
You actually thought about doing this?
Yeah. Well,
we were like 9 months into this thing's life cycle.
Now you got to remember, my wife's phone screen is still broken. Like we haven't fixed it, and it got worse. And so that's where this conversation came from. So I go to Best Buy. I'm holding the phone in my hand, and I put it down and walked away. I did the mature thing, Paul. I said no.
Well,
I said no to drugs.
It's not just the mature thing, although there's some element of that, I'm sure. It's the kind of the prudent thing in a way. Like you don't want to get this one now. You want to wait 3 months and get the next one.
Well, see, the thing was I could buy this one and then give it to my wife in 3 months. She doesn't care.
Oh, I see.
But I did the painfully mature thing and just said, no, I'm going to make sure my wife has the greatest phone. Yep.
It's funny. I told you I gave my daughter the option of getting the iPhone
Yeah.
10 because she needed desperately. I mean, I don't know how she held out as long as she did on her old phone. It was so horrible. And then it got physically dangerous. She literally had a piece of glass embedded in her finger that
Not healthy.
the doctor couldn't get out. Like she had to do it herself because I think there's a thing when it's so small, you don't know how you're poking someone else, but when it's you know which you can
Yep.
do it yourself. Yep. The doctor literally couldn't do it, and she was able eventually to get it out, but it was in her finger for like 2 weeks.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it was like you know how you get a splinter and it probably dissolves in your body or something. Like your body probably just absorbs it. But I was thinking like this thing's going to get into like a blood vessel and then race to her heart. Like she's going to be killed by an iPhone. You know, wouldn't be the first person. Yeah. My daughter was killed by the iPhone. Anyway, she got it out. But yeah, anyway, so she chose the 8 Plus, not the X. She didn't want to pay the difference, you know. So okay.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been that much more. I mean, she got the
not
Plus.
over the 8 Plus for sure.
Yeah, but that was the choice.
Yeah, I'm holding out the rumors, the latest rumors, if you will, is that the next Gen X isn't going to be as expensive, supposedly, maybe $300 to $400 less.
Well, they're going to have different models, I guess.
Yeah,
which is smart.
Yep. So we will see. And then back into the Microsoft sphere. So the last little tidbit here is HoloLens V Next, codename Sydney, Q1 2019. Nothing's changed from my original post about a year ago, and they're still on track. The thing, Paul,
Right.
that to me is super interesting here, because the other tidbit, two things, was that the document says Andromeda in 2018, which could go either way. And the reason why I say that is, you got to when this document was created, Terry Myerson was still Steamboat Captain at that time, and as we all know, he is no longer Steamboat Captain. At least he's on his way out. And so there's new leadership there that could potentially change this.
Right,
throwing the caveat out there. But imagine this, Paul, because we know Microsoft likes to do hardware events in the fall. Imagine a Andromeda, Surface Pro 6, Surface tablet HoloLens event.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Oh, God,
October in New York.
Run.
Yep. I mean, the only thing that's kind of confusing is how they can wait that long. I mean,
well, there is that.
Surface laptops over a year old now. Surface Pro is just about a year old, the new one, right? Surface Pro 5, as we should be calling it. It's interesting to me that you've got information that the next one will be a 6, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
kidding.
imagine they're not going to go with that name, but that's internally they call it that. So
they should, though. That's fine. Was there any indication in the documentation that you saw that would suggest that the 2008 or whatever the dates were hard dates, or were they like calendar dates, or were they related to the fiscal year dates that Microsoft has?
So nothing. Well, no, I take that back. I think they're calendar. The way that it's written, I think it is relating to calendar year, not fiscal year.
Yep.
So, but that is a good question, because for those who aren't fully aware, Microsoft's fiscal year ends in about 18 days, June 30th.
And are they on 2018 now, or are we on? It must be.
Yeah, they're on 2018. They'll be in 2019.
Starting on July 1st. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is a good little hiccup in there, because Microsoft tends to do that. They'll mention things, be like, "Oh yeah, it'll happen in 2018," but what they really mean is fiscal year 2018. Yeah, obviously.
So
Andromeda's not launching in the next 18 days.
You're right. That was sort of what I was getting at. Now, I don't know if you just posted this, so I didn't have a chance to read what you wrote, but you and I had talked about this. Did you get to the bit? Did you talk about? Yeah, you did. I'm looking at it now. So the Andromeda thing is almost like a reference design in some ways, right? They're working with partners. And did you have the bit about the size of the device?
Yeah, I wrote that it was pocketable is Microsoft's intent. And so the other thing was too, I wrote it in that post if you see it, but Intel actually at Computex last week was showing off a reference design foldable device. And kind of having seen this document, I kind of fully believe now that that's going to be the reference design that OEM partners are going to take and be like, okay, we're going to build something that fits in this, because Intel is obviously not selling that, but they're definitely pitching it, and that was probably under the direction of Microsoft, would be my guess.
Pocketable is smaller than I had expected for this device. If you look at, like, for example, Huawei just announced this today, the tablets I've been testing. This is an 8.4-inch tablet. It's what we would think of as a mini tablet. It's a little smaller than an iPad mini, for example. It's certainly skinnier. This is not Pocketable, right? It is not a big device. So Pocketable, of course, is like a phone. And so if you think about, these are two phones, but if this is kind of what that looks like, I guess that's Pocketable. And then it is Pocketable. It's just, it would be a little thicker because it's two devices or whatever. But that must be the rough size they're talking about, because you can't get much bigger than a phone and call it Pocketable.
So here's can you bring those two phones back up? So the interesting thing about that design is that, to me, it almost needs 3 screens, because you have the way you're looking at it right now. The pages of the book would be a screen, but that's not a one-handed design. There also needs to be a screen where the cameras are on the back, so that you could hold it like a smartphone on one. You know what I mean?
So
like
what if it folded over the other way, right?
That
so
would
then
work too.
You could have the screens on the outside. So in this mode, you could use it like a phone. Now you still got a screen on the back. It's a little goofy because you're fingerprinting it up or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I suppose it could also have some sort of a, it's Microsoft, they make it complicated, some kind of a unique Surface Hingy thing that would, do whatever it does. But I don't know. I know everyone's so excited about Andromeda and Microsoft's sort of return to the mobile market, but I don't know. I'm confused about the market for this kind of a thing.
Yep. If you take nothing else away from all these posts, it's that Microsoft's working on a lot of hardware. There's a lot of good stuff in the pipeline. It's fun to see that these things are starting to come again, that they're not abandoning it. People were kind of concerned maybe through the reorg that they would stop doing this, but I don't think that's any indication or anything like that.
I mean, I don't know how profitable any of this stuff is, but when you look across the range of hardware that they have, Xbox, of course, the Surface PCs and devices, obviously, and that's expanding. HoloLens, which you just mentioned as well. I mean, these things are they're all growing, in the sense that there are going to be more of these things, not less, And so I think collectively that proves is a tough word, but let's say proves a real investment on Microsoft's part. And that's important because, like you said, or like you hinted at, I guess, Satya Nadella, whoever could look down on these businesses and say, why are we throwing money at this? I mean, what's the point?
Right.
They clearly see a point to it. So I think that's good.
Yeah, I do as well. You got anything else for today, Paul?
No, I'll try to I have a bunch of reviews that are nowhere near complete, but I've got these Huawei tablets. I've got the OnePlus 6. I've got about 212 PCs I need to review. There's the Lenovo Flex 6, I think it's called, 14-inch. I also have the Huawei MateBook Pro X Pro, or MateBook 10 Pro, X Pro, whatever that is, which is awesome. I don't know today, but this week I'm going to start trying to crank some of that stuff out. And I don't know. That's most of it, I guess. What about you?
I need to find some AA batteries, which I wonder if this remote has some. Maybe they might get scrapped from here, because I'm concerned and I need to check this. My Elite controller was acting really funny last night when I was playing. It just kept shutting off, and so I swapped the batteries and it kept doing it. And I need to get some non-rechargeable, just batteries that I know are good, to make sure that thing is not on its way out. Because if it is, I'm going to be sad, because there's no replacement. I'm not spending $150 on that design.
Nope.
Right.
Not
now.
when you know something's coming. Yeah.
Yep. So that's that. So
well, good luck with that.
Yeah, something like that. All right, folks. Well, that wraps it up for today. We will catch you right back here tomorrow on First Ring Daily.